Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to animate a logo, the Olympics logo. We're going to go to Google, look up Olympics logo, and the very first one here says 2000 by 1000. That's a really good size. So I'm going to double click that, get the big version of it. Then I want to control click and save image as. I'm going to save it to my desktop. It's called Olympics logo. I hit save. All right. Now I'm going to minimize this, and we've got the Olympics logo right here on the desktop. In order to animate this, we're going to go to Adobe Animate. And in case that's not in your dock, which is probably not, you want to, in your Finder here, go Applications, and let's look for Adobe Animate, right? It looks like that. We open it, and we'll double click Adobe Animate, and it starts to open. Meanwhile, I'll close this. Okay. Now notice, and I'm going to close this panel right here. All right. So here's Adobe Animate. Looks like that. We're going to take this HTML5. We're going to create a new HTML5 canvas, right? That's your basic thing. Now notice we've got a stage. We've got a timeline. We've got some panels here. We've got properties. We've got library. And then we've got some tools over here. Okay. So we're going to get into this, but right now, all we're going to do is we're going to File, Import to, and Import to Stage. That's the breadcrumb trail right there. File, Import, Import to Stage. And it brings up a browser. We'll make sure this is on my desktop. And I know that that Olympics logo was on the desktop, so I'm going to select that and open it. Look how big that is, all right? Because that's 1000 by 2000. So I'm going to zoom out, Command minus, so I can see this whole thing. And with Animate, I can't with the selection tool do anything like try to resize this. What I have to use in Animate is this tool right here. The third one down, it's called the Free Transform tool. I'm going to take that, and notice that it puts the bounding box around the logo. So now I'm going to hold shift just like I do in all the other programs, and then go to this corner here where I get those two arrows, click and drag down till it looks like it's right about the size of the stage. Then I'm going to use the same tool right here. See the little 4 part? Not this, but this right here, that little 4 part compass, in order to click and pull it right over there. I'll zoom in. All right. Now I'm going to click back and get my selection tool. Remember that to zoom in is Command plus. To zoom out is Command minus. So now I've got this, I've got it selected, and you can see the blue box around it here. And what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into a bitmap first, all right, so that we can get each part of it. And in order to do that, we're going to go to Modify, Bitmap, Trace Bitmap. And what this should do is give us pixels that we can work with. And I'm going to put it at color threshold at 10, and the minimum area here 20, corner threshold normal. All right, so that's good. All right, so what it's done is it's given us these, you notice like these pixels, you can see those. If I deselect, then I see that, but I can select it one at a time now, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to deselect. Now I'm going to go in first and select this, and notice that all of the red became pixelated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this. I'm going to convert it to a symbol, which is F8. All right. The shortcut for this is to hold your function key, which is down at the very bottom left of your keyboard. Hold that down while you hit the F8 hotkey, which is F8 at the very top of your keyboard. That's the shortcut for this, and that's what I'll do from here on. So I'm going to call this, it's blue right now, it says symbol 1. I'm going to call it red. So I just type red there. It's a graphic symbol. And I'm going to say OK. All right, or hit the return key. Now notice this has now become a symbol. It has a blue box around it, and that's what we want. We want all of these to be exactly like this one. So now I'm going to move on to the green one, and I'm going to click, but notice that it only pixelated this part. It didn't get this part right here. Remember, in order to multiply select, we got to hold shift. So I'm holding shift, and then I click here. Now I've got all the green selected. I'm going to hit function F9. Whoops. My bad. It's function F8. Function F8. All right. Once again, if you couldn't find that, go to modify, convert to symbol. All right. We're going to call this green. It's also graphic. Hit return. Now that I've got that, I'm going to click on this black. I'm going to hold shift. Now I've got my black selected. Function F8. Call that black. And I'm going to get my yellow. Okay, I've got part of it. Now I'm going to hold shift, get the rest of yellow. Function F8, yellow. Uh-oh, that happens. If this happens to you, don't be alarmed. It sometimes does that. You can go right up here to this little icon here where it says center stage. Click that and it'll set it back. All right, finally, the blue. It's all pixelated. Function F8, blue. All right. Now we're going to hit Command A to select all of these. Okay, so there's all 5 of our symbols, and that's what we need in order to do what's called a motion tween. We're going to put a motion tween on each one of these, and I'll show you how we do that. We're going to do it all at the same time. While these are all selected, I'm going to go to Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. There it is, the breadcrumb trail. Modify, Timeline, Distribute to Layers. And notice what just happened. Okay, now I've got all these layers down in my timeline. Look, I've got a bunch of them. Here's my blue, yellow, black, green, and red. I don't need the rest of these. That was caused by artifacts, some random pixels. We don't need them. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on this layer 7. Start at the top because there's a bunch of these. And I'm just going to go and hold this trash can right down here where it's delete. I'm just going to click one at a time. Delete all these random layers. There's a bunch of them. 30. Okay, so now here I am with my 5 main, and I don't need this layer 1 either. It has nothing in it. So I'm going to delete. And here's how you can tell. See, nothing has changed. And I can hide all these layers, right, in the timeline, right? I can lock all the layers. We're not going to do that now because we're about to use these. But there's the lock. Okay, and it's just like in Illustrator, if you don't know where something is, hide it, and then unhide it, and you'll know exactly which layer it is. All right, so I'm going to click that again, and then unclick it, and here we are. Now what I want to do is I want to hit Command A, so I select all of these. They're all selected at the same time, and notice that right here, this keyframe, which is the first keyframe in the timeline, these are 5 starting points for a motion tween. Okay, don't let that confuse you. You'll understand what it means in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click. I'm going to Control click and go to Create Motion Tween. And then once again, I can Control click either here on the timeline, or I can Control click here. On the timeline down here, or I can Control click on the stage. Let's reset that. Okay, Control click. Whoops. I clicked the wrong thing. I deselected. So now I have to hit Command A once again, select everything. And I'll just do it. I usually work on the timeline. So I'm going to Control click right here, create a motion tween. And so I've got 5 motion tweens now. Notice they are 24 frames long. And 24 frames in animation is equal to 1 second. So this is going to be a 1 second movie when we're done. Now what I want to do is right now I've got these keyframes. And this represents the end of the logo. This is where I want it to finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other end, right down here. I'm going to pull this, I'm going to click in this little rectangle and hold and drag till I'm I'm on frame 24. And what this is going to do is this is going to give me the opposite. So this is my finish point, and I'm going to put all my starting points here because there's no sense having to redo this. And then I'm going to reverse. I'm going to reverse them. I'm going to flip them so that everything that's now at the beginning is going to be at the end, and everything that's at the end is going to be at the beginning. This will make sense when we're done. Okay. So while this is in frame 24, still I'm using only my selection tool. I'm going to click and drag this off stage. Let me zoom out just once so we can kind of see what the whole thing's doing. And notice I've got this little chain now. And I can actually do this. I can move this, and then I can click on the chain and modify it. So this is the path that this is going to take during the animation. All right, I'm going to do this to all of them. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have it come in a little bit like that. And this one, I'm going to move it out and have it come in sort of from the top right, and then this one. So I'm clicking right on the fills. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to have it move in like so. Now this one, the black one, I'm going to do something different with this. This is a tween, but it's not going to be exactly a motion tween. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cause this to fade. It's just going to fade up. And in order to do that, I'm going to go to the Properties panel here. Down here I've got Color Effect. And under Color Effect, I'm going to choose Alpha. And now that I've got alpha, notice this disappeared because the alpha is down to 0. If I put alpha up to 100, we see all of it. Alpha down to 0 disappears. So that's exactly what I want. Now notice right here in the timeline, I've now got 5 keyframes. These dots are keyframes, and these dots are keyframes. Problem is now we've got the beginning at the end, we've got the end at the beginning, and we have the beginning at the end. So now all I have to do is click each one of these tweens. I'm going to hold Control, click, that's called Control Click, and I'm going to reverse keyframes. I'm going to do that for each one of these. Control Click, reverse keyframes. Control Click, reverse keyframes. Control Click, reverse keyframes. Control Click, reverse keyframes. All right. Now this is somewhere in between, but now notice this is our end and this is our beginning, and that's our movie. Now, in order to see this movie, what we want to do is, and don't worry about this, I don't know why this is hanging around. For some reason it's visible, but it won't show up. What we can do in order to test our movie is we can hit Command Return. And what this does is it previews. But now look at what I've got. That was Command Return. This is looping, and I don't want that to be. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize the browser. And what I want to do here is I'm going to go back to Timeline. It went to our output. I'm going to go back to Timeline. I'm going to make a new layer. This is how we do a stop. Not a new folder, but right here, left, all the way to the left, a new layer. And I'm going to call this layer, double click it, the letters, double click the letters, Actions. And I'm going to bring this Actions layer up to the top because Actions should always be at the top. Now I want this to stop on frame 24. That's the last thing. And in order to make that happen, I'm going to Control click right here in the frame 24. Notice that each one of these is a frame. Now I'm on frame 20, so I'm going to go to frame 24. I'm going to control click. I'm going to insert a keyframe. Notice we're doing a lot of control clicking in Flash. And in this keyframe here, I'm going to go to Actions. So you can go to Window, Actions, but notice that the keyboard command is F9. All right, and let me move this out. And what I want to do is type right here where this cursor is blinking. This is in the Actions layer, frame 24. I'm going to type this stop, this period, stop. Then I'm holding shift, left, and right, parentheses, semicolon. And that's it. All right? That's what it should look like when you're done. I'll close this action panel and we'll try it again. It's Command Return, but in case you forget that, you can go to here to Control Test Movie in Browser. All right? And there it is, a stop. Okay, so that's what it looks like in the browser. I'm going to close the browser again. What we want to do is export. I want you to export a movie. And in order to do that, you're going to go to File, Export. You're going to export video, not a movie. Export video. So we're going to export this video. Just leave it as is. We see that it's going into Documents. Okay. I don't want it to go to Documents. I want it to go to my desktop. So I'm going to browse, and I'm going to make sure it goes to the desktop. And it's going to be a QuickTime movie, and I'm going to call it whatever the period number is. We'll say 1, name, that's it, and then save. All right. Now it's going to go to the desktop. All right. There's the name of the file. Good. I hit export. It has exported. Let's minimize this for a minute. Oh, it takes us to Media Encoder. This is kind of a long-winded way of doing this. Okay, so it wants to make it a movie. All right. So we'll go ahead and follow this. It's given the file name. It's going to come out.
To the office. Sadie Soto to the office.
Guess where I am? Guess where I am? Okay. It's coming out. This is the name of our file. What we have to do is go right here to this little arrow, green arrow. Click that. And that should have done it. Let me minimize this for a minute. Here we have a movie file. We'll open that. It's still converting. But we'll play it. Ta-da! And you're done. Turn it in.